Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 16th of August. So let's have a look at these markets and firstly look at the risk events that might impact us, impact the markets at least. So today we've already seen the New Zealand, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy, etc. It's all been released. There's no surprises here. It stayed still at 5.5. So steady old figure. UK, well, inflation's supposed to be falling, but it's not. It's actually at six. It came in at 6.8. So it was expected. Well, it was 0.1 lower, and it's 1% lower, 1.1% lower than the previous. So it is falling, but not as quickly as they'd probably like. When you look at all the details in below that, there's quite a few figures which probably would be not looking too good, but anyway, it's higher than expected. We've already got this sort of pressure, and there's forecasts now, or analysts are expecting interest rates to be increased up to 6%. So it's back on for 6% and a 0.25% increase when they next meet in September. Right. Anyway, side of that then today, I'm looking because I've got more information than that's shown on here. I've got the Eurozone. What's not shown on here is the Eurozone GDP data coming out today, which is added on maybe a lower level on in terms of normal movement or whatever else. But we've got then industrial production US, building permits not so much, but industrial permits at 215 there. FOMC meeting minutes, they can create quite a bit of volatility when you actually get to see what was actually said as opposed to what they tell you was said. But depends on whether they're in line. But so we can get some volatility around 7 o'clock there. But it shouldn't be anything particularly new in that that's not already been said. Okay, and then you've got Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor speaking later, so that might create some volatility for the New Zealand dollar. Right, and its pairs, of course. Let's have a look at get on and look at the markets here. First things first, start off with the euro dollar, and well, yesterday, day before yesterday, it cracked the trend line. Yesterday, it popped and dropped. Today, it's popped. Whether it's going to drop again is another matter. There's a solid downward trend on the 4-hour leads here, from what I can see. And I'm really looking at this. It just didn't come off yesterday. I was looking at the same sort of thing. Let me just get my drawing tool. He says. So I was looking across the lows here yesterday. Well, it didn't break until later afternoon. I was looking for it to break in the morning. Again, if this breaks in the morning, this might be interesting, looking down towards the prior lows there, the daily S1, etc. So there's a possibility. We'll see what happens this morning. So that's what I'm looking for on the euro. So it's the first time in a long time that I'm actually looking at it, thinking, well, it might be a trade on. The pound is, of course, the inflation data not coming quite as low as expected, has seen a pop at the moment. Now, we saw this pop yesterday on this bar that I'm showing here, my cursor's on, same sort of thing. We saw the correction coming off. Well, we're seeing that at the moment, or part of it. It's whether or not it does anything else. At the moment, I'm still favouring it towards the upside on this time frame. Let's just get rid of that pen. That's it. If you look at it on the dailies here, the double bottom it came into the monthly S1 pivots. You've got this sort of movement here. A break above 127.56 would see it even more bullish. Looking through there, but maybe it's not as clean. Probably best left. The dollar yen, I did finally read some information yesterday that the Bank of Japan was suggesting that there might be need to adjust the numbers a little bit, intervene into the currency markets. but they don't want to do it quickly, they're suggestive, which it makes sense, because when they used to do it quickly, I was explaining yesterday in the trading room, when they used to do it quickly, it would basically it would come down very quickly, only to move back up very quickly. And what they're looking for is, if they're going to intervene, is a steadier move down, a slower move down. We'll see if that happens, but it's there in the background. That's the only thing going against me looking for the long side, to be fair. I just think it's just got towards that number where they intervened last time. As much as it's in the lovely trends, there's lots of things in lovely trends here with it. I just don't want to be buying it. It's a shame, because it looks good, but I don't want to be selling it either, because it's in an upward trend. It's best left alone if you're in indecision. It's just the intervention. If they start intervening, we'll see movements. Even if they try and do it more subtly, there'll be movements, and you just end up with it moving 50 pips. Then the rumours get around, and it starts becoming 100 pips. Anyway, Aussie dollar still looking relatively soft. It has broken through its S2 there on the monthlies. It's still, I think it's almost becoming material. It's the S1, quarterly S1, that's sort of probably holding it up a little bit here. We've got the weekly S1 sitting there as well, so quite a lot of support around where it's sitting overall. It's just looking to pitch back into its daily pivot. I'd left it alone yesterday. I'll leave it alone today. It's a very similarish pattern that we're seeing. We're seeing saw a low coming in, it moving okay. It was above its daily pivot at that point. We'll see. It might just pitch into the point and then start rolling over, but not so favoured for me there. US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD pushing up quite solidly. High lows, higher highs running through here. But again, very consolidated where it's sitting at the moment. It's double tops into the highs here on the shorter time frame. I think it might struggle a little bit, untouched daily pivot. If we see it correction or anything, it might just come back. We're seeing dollar strength almost by default at the moment. There's no real reason other than some of the other markets are looking softer. Yeah, not shaping up particularly well. New Zealand dollar, well, the figures there not really shocking the markets at all. They're very transparent in their data. In fact, we've got a little bounce coming out after the news and looking a little bit more positive. In the bigger scale of things, I'm still bearish on the New Zealand dollar, but we'll let it have its moment. Again, I was looking at it earlier in the week to see if it came up to its 4-hourly pivot, its weekly pivot. So I'll keep. I've got the alert set up on that. I would like to see if it gets up there for a correction to the downside. So that's that. Dollar Swissy, chop. Nothing but chop. Leave that alone. Euro yen, a bit of a bitty old day yesterday, whipsawry. See on the dailies here, it's just gone a little bit sideways. As you come down the time frame, well, it doesn't look quite so bad, but it is quite choppy in what it's doing. It had that solid move up. I think it's really the euro following the pound a little bit there. I'm not sure what, and yen coming off maybe at the same time, but the yen strengthened throughout most of yesterday. It's changed shape a little bit here and consolidating. I don't like shorting it. There's too many retail traders on the short side of it. 80% of the holdings is on the short side. It's just to me, it's the potential for squeeze all of the time, and every time I've looked at this on the bigger picture, it's just gone back up again. So consolidation around the highs, more potential for a push up there. Not necessarily a trade on there at the moment. Euro pound, this has got into a little bit of a trend. It's a bit whippy, but it's got into a bit of a trend with on the 4 hourly here, the lower highs coming through, but yesterday wasn't tradable. Today might be the same here. It's already, look, it's got the same bar sitting there, the same bit of price action beforehand. We're going to see the same and the same. Maybe look for later afternoon, see if it comes down for its S1, but not tradable at the moment. The same pattern is going through. I'm looking through a lot of these cross pairs at the moment, and there's little that's sort of drawing me into these at this stage. Euro's just again pushing up against the CAD here, but I mean, the trend is fine for it. It's got the potential. It's already pushing too far on the hourly basis here for me to look for a trade. So quite quiet on the currency pairs there. Indices. Let's have a look at gold first. So gold, well, yes, they continued down today. We've seen a little pop up, but as I say, a little bit of softening in the dollar at the moment. This could shape up as sort of a bearish flaggy sort of pattern in a downward trend there, a retracement, maybe a short below the pivot there on the it's a weekly pivot. Just sorry, that's the daily pivot, beg your pardon. So yeah, potential there. Crude coming off still at this stage, so I'm looking really at the monthly pivots here. It's broken its weekly. It's broken its near-term trend. Lower highs just looking softer as we run through here at the moment. A slowdown in China and is probably not helping things here in terms of pushing for demand, and as pretty much expected, the highs around that sort of 82, 84 area have stalled it. So got to be patient. There is potential for some shorts on it with the pattern that's sort of here on the 4 hourly. We could see some continuation to the downside, but I'll leave that for later today to try and trade. But it's potentially there. CSI 300 then, equity markets, no surprise to see that off this morning. The Nikkei also off here now. It's looking like it's breaking. I feel like a broken record sometimes, keep on about this low over here, but it's eventually broken it and it's looking softer to me. It's quite a mess going on there. It's consolidated away from the highs. When it does this, it generally in the end, but that's, well, sitting there inside bar at the moment. So the big question is, can it hold on there and bounce more, or is it going to break if it breaks the 50? It's already given us a couple of lower highs on the lower time frames. I could see that coming off a bit more for now. Aussie 200, that's also just back into a bit of free fall here. Poor Chinese data really does affect the Australian markets there, and well, there you go. You're seeing the effect in terms of its price action. This just looks soft for further downside at the moment, back into its period of weakness. S&Ps, well, they're looking pretty grubby as well at the moment in the short term time frames. Coming down the time frames here, it's actually stretched out a little bit more. I keep on talking about the frequency of these retracements is still relatively high, but a little bit wider here, and I'm sort of looking at this thinking, is it going to come into a bit more of a trend, a smoother trend on its way southbound. It's broken the 50 now. We could see more of a correction on this to the downside. Dow Jones, similar picture in terms of breaking the lows there. Got a bit of support off its 34 and arguably its monthly pivot there at the moment. But again, looking a bit softer. I think the Dow looks better, or the Nasdaq. Nasdaq again below the 50. Still, I say the Dow, the S&Ps or the Nasdaq looks the better shorts if you're going to be looking for them. Never really like it in a market that's running up here, but it has put lower highs in, and we're talking about a number of days now. It's just looking like it could have a bit of a continuation to the downside there. For those trading the DAX here, well, let's just come up the time frames first. And well, it's been a bit of a beast recently, just consolidating. I'm sure there were some points to be made in this, but it's broken to the downside at the moment. It's bouncing off its weekly S1 at this stage. Untouched daily pivot up there. Maybe that's got a bit to run into, but it's got all over the place. There's not a clear read on it as such. Maybe a short into that area is a potential, but pushing up first thing this morning. The FTSE lower high coming through here, just still looking pretty soft there. It's a much softer market than the DAX for sure. Retracements might be opportunities to sell, but don't really like it where it is for selling, but it could just continue through. It's on that downward trajectory, so we could see it coming down towards the S1 there. So looking pretty soft there on the FTSE. That is it for today. Just very quickly we'll look at your Bitcoins, but no real surprise here. It's pretty sidewards with a hint of a downward trend. Look at it on the 4 hourly, there you go, you just see the hint of downward trend, lower highs coming through there, looking soft, not really going anywhere particularly. A lot of these markets, you look at one, they're all pretty similar-ish. Get the occasional one that becomes the favoured one, and that goes okay, but for the majority of these markets, they're sitting there pretty flat. I will leave it there. I wish you a great day's trading. I'll catch you on YouTube in the morning for the rest of the year. Hold tight.